What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Fourth and Wine. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you again for tuning in. This is my second episode. If you don't know, my name is Sasha. If you don't know, now you know. Anyway, my name is Sasha, and I am from Philly. And I'm an Eagles fan, and I enjoy wine. And that is what we're doing here. We're going to talk a little bit about a wine that I'm tasting, and we're going to give y'all an update on the Eagles, how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. But since episode 1, it's been a minute. I've been a little bit under the weather recently, but we back. We're recovering, doing a lot better, but we are back and we're here. So let's get into it. So the wine of the week. Hello, everyone. Let's give it up for the wine of the week. It is a Sauvignon Blanc. If you don't know already, I do enjoy white wine and red blends. Those are my top 2, my top faves. Okay, period. And the wine of the week this week is a Sauvignon Blanc 2023. Very inexpensive bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. It was probably $10 or $11. And I was able to pick it up. Sauvignon Blanc is from France. This brand is called La Belle Angèle. And it is bottled in France, imported where? California, Pico Rivera, California. Comes from southwest France. It is made in the city of Bordeaux, France. And Sauvignon Blanc is made from a grape that has a very similar name, Sauvignon. Maybe I pronounced that correctly. Very affordable bottle. And Sauvignon Blanc typically pairs really well. Similar to Pinot Grigio, I think it's a little bit drier though. But similar to Pinot Grigio, it pairs well with seafood. Sauvignon Blanc also goes well with cheese and pastas. Light things. It is a light wine. It is not heavy. So if you like something a little bit lighter, but more on the dry side of white wines, I think a Sauvignon Blanc is the way to go. I enjoy my drier wines. I'm really not big on, if you heard episode 1, like I'm really not big on like Riesling or Moscato. They're just too sweet for me. Rosé, they kind of make my stomach hurt because they're so sweet sometimes. I don't know when I got such a dry palate for wine, but it happened, when I started living on my own. I said, I'm going to buy me some wines. I'm going to try different ones. And, my taste buds, they grew up a little bit. Okay, so grow up, y'all. Grow up. JK. If you like Moscato or Riesling, do your thing. More power to you. It's just not my favorite. But let's give a review of this La Belle Angèle. Here's the bottle. Sauvignon Blanc is made from a green grape. However, the wine itself is not green. This bottle is just green. Comes in a green bottle. Picture of a lady on the front. She looks cute. Ready for the day. Biking. Holla at her. Super cute. With the hat and the pleated skirt. Period, girl. With the outfits. Yes, going for her stroll. Anyway, but let's try this one out a little bit. Let's see. See what it's hitting for. What is hitting for? Shorty, what is hitting for? Baby, I can give you what you need. All right, let's try this one a little bit. I had a little sip. Let's see. Hmm. I saw somebody swish it around in their mouth, the wine. That's how they tasted it. You know, so I learned this when I used to like promote wines and stuff, that crackers can clean your palate. So I grabbed some crackers to clean my palate in between. But these probably aren't the best crackers to clean my palate with because they are like a herb cracker. But yeah. So let me get my review real quick. It is a strong wine. I feel like if I had enough of this, it'd hit me, you know. I've been a little tipsy, you know. It is very dry. It I mean, it smells citrusy, but then it kind of smells like berries a little bit. It's giving like berry vibes. But it's okay. This wine is just okay. I've had other Sauvignons, and this one is not one of my favorites, but I mean, it is solid for the price point. um, Honestly, if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it like out of 5 stars, maybe like 2.5 stars. It's really not one of my favorite ones. Something about it just tastes a little off, but you know, I'll attribute it to me being sick. Maybe in a few episodes, I'll run it back. I'll try it again when you know I'm 110%. But yeah, you try it. Try it. It is La Belle Angèle. Try it, guys. It is French. It is a Sauvignon Blanc. I got the 2023. I'm pretty sure they have other years, but I got 2023. And it was probably only like $10 or $11. But go try it. Let me know what y'all think about it. It's not one of my top favorites. But let's get into a little bit of Eagles football. Let's run it up. Let's run it up. So, training camp started. They did a lot of pressers on the first day, etc. So let's just review the first day of press conference. Let's go over that. So let's get into a press conference first day. So this was the first training camp press conference for Saquon Barkley. His first training camp press conference. So Saquon Barkley, a new sign from the New York Giants, if you didn't know, running back from Penn State. So shout out to, you know, everybody I know from Penn State or whatever, you know, shout out. But Saquon was the running back for the New York Giants. He was not number one on my signings this offseason. You know, I like DeAndre Swift, you know, Philly guy. I thought he was a good running back. I thought he was honestly having an outstanding year. 2023, despite the collapse of the Eagles at the end of the season, I thought he was serviceable. I know he wanted a contract, I'm sure. So he went and got that in Chicago. I'm not sure what the Eagles did or did not offer him, but he went to Chicago, got 3 years, 24 mil. So shout out to him and best of luck to him in the Windy City. But the Eagles really wanted Saquon. So I'm not sure what they thought about Swift, why they wanted to move on from him, and where they were with deciding on Saquon. But Saquon is probably one of the top running backs in the league, and that is without a doubt. So I'm trusting it. Trusting Howie. Hoping Saquon has a great year. I'm rooting for him. So let's see. Let's see how this fares. But in 2023, his stats out of 14, he played 14 games that season. He had 247 carries, 962 rushing yards, 280 receiving yards, and a total of 10 touchdowns last season. The New York Giants scored 29 touchdowns total last season. And he scored 10 of them. So they let him go. They let him go, you know. He was the player on the New York Giants. And if you watched Hard Knocks, you saw that whole ordeal with his contract, them letting him test the market, not really wanting to sign him or whatever they offered him. According to Hard Knocks, they offered him a contract. It wasn't as much as the Eagles. It was, we offered him a million more or so. But, you know, he's here now. And the Eagles just signed the talent. So during his press conference, it was kind of interesting to see his thoughts and how he felt about the Eagles. And he pretty much, of course, said some great things. He's excited to be here and that he feels like it's amazing to be on a team where he's with people who are all pros at every level. I don't know if he did clean it up and say that wasn't a dig to the Giants, but whatever. He was pretty much saying he's excited to be here, and then he appreciates all the love and the support from everyone. And he appreciates the Philly fans' passion, and Philly fans can be passionate. That is a nice word he used to describe us. Passionate. And he says he's received nothing but love and support from everyone here. He did also mention, because they kept digging during the press conference, he did also mention that he didn't really watch too much of Hard Knocks. He said, I ain't really watched too much of it. I watched, what was that, episode 3? I said, oh, okay, you pay attention, but you're not paying attention. Okay, I see you. But he's like, I'm ready to focus on what's here, what's now. I'm here. And, being in Philly, everything is new. New players, new locker room, new coaches, new team, new everything for him. So he's like, I kind of feel like a rookie. Everything is new to me, but it's exciting to be here. So I'm excited for him to get started this season. He wasn't, number one on my bingo card, but that doesn't mean he wasn't on the bingo card. I mean, he's a great player, and I'm excited to have him on the team. AJ Brown also did a presser. Okay. Of course you got to get AJ in. And they asked him about his thoughts on Saquon and kind of how he thought that was going to change the offense a little bit. Because honestly, signing Saquon does change the offense for AJ Brown specifically, wide receivers. You got another person that is going to take the ball. Now, I don't know how how Kellen Moore is going to set up his offense. What side of the field is he going to be heavier on? Is he going to, run the ball more? Is he going to be looking for passing more? Like, who knows? I don't know what Kellen Moore's plan is, and you won't know until the season gets rolling. But that does change a few things for AJ, and AJ does not feel threatened by it. He's like, having a guy like that who can run, who can catch, that's just another option, and that's only going to help us out as an offense. And I cannot agree with him more. Having Saquon allows you to be more versatile. Having a running back who can run the ball and having one who can catch, pick up screens, I think that'll be amazing for the Eagles, just to have some of that diversity and some of that versatility, honestly. And then also AJ Brown mentioned during his presser, he mentioned a little bit about Cam coming in, playing center. He said, Cam is doing a good job and the team has faith in Cam to fill that spot, or whoever fills that spot. So I guess it's not 100% determined that Cam Jurgens is going to be the Eagles center. I'm pretty sure he is, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But Cam is doing a great job so far. It is something, though, different now that Jason Kelce is gone and Cam's taking his place. It is something of an adjustment for the team, especially Jalen, for Jalen to have to come in, learn a new guy a little bit. Not 100% new guy, but it's probably a different cadence a little bit. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just something different that they'll have to learn and adjust. And I'm confident they are going to do so, based on a few things that I've read about training camp and some things I saw at the open practice, which we're going to get into. But yeah, so it's looking like Cam Jurgens might be filling in that role based on that. But one thing they asked AJ about. They asked him about the end of last season and how things went during, the off season and the radio media in Philly. So, if you did not know, which you live under a rock if you did not know, but last season the Eagles went on a 10-1 run. 10-1. It was a rough 10-1, but they won 10 games out of their first 11 games of the season. But then they managed to lose the last 5 out of 6 games. And badly. Like badly. Badly. But that was last season. They were looking like the number one team in the NFC, plan to make the playoffs and have a little playoff run. But then we became the wild card. We became the wild card after having a 10-1 season. Honestly, ending the season 11-6 doesn't sound crazy. But if you watched and saw how we lost, you would know why many people felt the way they did. And we went on to play in a wild card round and lose to Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield, which is a game that we should not have lost. But we shouldn't have lost because we hold ourselves to a high standard. But if you watched the Eagles play all season last year, you probably felt like they were going to lose. You probably knew that it was going to be a rough one. But either way, he was a little hot about it. AJ was a little hot about how the season ended, and mainly because of the sports radio and sports media creating narratives or stories and talking about his relationship with Jalen Hurts and how he's a diva and a bad player on a team, not a good teammate. He's hogging the ball. All he wants is the ball, and he's crying because he's not getting enough, touches, yada, 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 yada. It was so many stories in the news about AJ and Jalen Sirianni. They made up stories essentially about him being a bad teammate and about other Eagles players being bad teammates. And Philly sports media, I feel like, doesn't really get the scoop like they used to or something. Like, they not getting the in anymore. I don't know. So, like, yeah, they have to create stories and they have to report on what they think and their opinions. That is what sports radio is. They're going to report their opinions, but making up stories or implying and inferring certain things and pushing certain agendas to the point where it becomes like national news that AJ Brown is like this horrible teammate and everything else, that could get to a player. So, AJ called up to 94 WIP. Okay, he called up. AJ called up and was on the line with Ike and Jack Fritz. Okay, he was on with Ike Reese, who used to play for the Eagles. Guys, if you don't know who Ike Reese is, and Jack Fritz. They seemed very unprepared for his call, and it was kind of awkward and weird. But AJ was getting right to it. They was like, AJ, do you like being in Philly? Do you want to stay here? He said, I love where I'm at. Simple as that. Next question. Damn. So, of course, in the presser last week, they definitely was, asking him about it and like asking him his thoughts, how he was feeling, I guess, the whole thing around him calling into the radio station. And AJ answered the question at the press conference really well. So look, this is what AJ said. He was like, earlier on this off season, I was kind of firing back a little bit. But, as I learned, you just got to roll with the punches. And he added, no matter if it's a good story or a bad story, You guys are doing a job. You really, you can't really take offense to it, is what he said. So AJ essentially is like, you know what? That's in the past. Yeah, I popped off. I was firing back a little bit, and but you just gotta roll with the punches. That's how it is. They doing the job. I'm here doing the job, and you can't take a lot of stuff personally. And I appreciated that perspective of it. Granted, I do also agree with him popping off and being upset about some of the stories made up about him from the news station or the sports the sports media in the town that like is so passionate and loves their teams, and it's just crazy and unfortunate that they got a few stories about their character came into question. Like, you could talk about how crappy they was playing all day long, but when it comes to like their character, I can get how that could get to someone, especially in a city like ours. So, I appreciate AJ's point of view and him moving on from that. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how things develop this year. If you heard him call in during the off season and kind of talk about how the season ended, it just makes you appreciate the players on the team, and it does ease your mind a little bit when it comes to certain narratives that are out there about the Eagles. So then, they talked to Slay. I ain't got too much to say about Slay, but Slay, he came after practice the first day. He did his presser, and he was just pretty much talking about the young guys coming in because it's a lot of competition. But he said, I'm looking at the young guys and who I can help, who he can teach and share some knowledge with. And he's not looking at them as like a threat for his spot, which is good. And he's like, I'm not treating them that way either. I'm thankful to be here. He's thankful for those that came before him that didn't treat him that way, like the vets that I'm sure they do in certain. If you go to a certain team, I'm sure there are plenty of people who have ran into people they feel like coming in to take their spot. But it's good when you got a vet that's willing to teach, willing to show, and just embrace the young guys coming in. So shout out to Slaves. Shout out to Big Play Slay. And then last but not least, everyone's favorite, Jalen Hurts. He did his little presser. Actually, no, he's not going to be last. But Jalen Hurts did his presser. So, he came in and he started off the presser and just pretty much shut down all the Nick Sirianni and him BS and the issues between them. He said a lot. I ain't gonna quote and go through everything he said, but he pretty much was like, look, cut all that noise. That ain't it. Cut the noise. I'm here. Last year, if all of us were on the same page, we could have done something better, is what he said. But they weren't. And that was a learning experience. So they're here to win. And they are looking to be more like a team this year, is what he said, essentially. He said talent wins you games, but it doesn't last. Teams win you championships. My man got he got a quote for everything. And he also talked about anything that he does is for the betterment of the team, and that's just trying to win. And he thinks if everyone has that mentality within a role, they're going to be fine. He talked about Cam Jurgens as well, stepping up as center, and how Cam is ready to step up and lead that O-line room. Shout out to Cam, period. Shout out to Cam. I know some people get tired of Jalen Hurts and all his quotes and analogies and this and that and yada yada yada. But ain't nobody have a problem when that man was winning. People have a problem with it when they losing. Honestly, they be having a problem with everything when the Eagles start losing. But honestly, I think he carries himself well. He says exactly what he needs to say for his image, for the team. I think what he says is safe because if people speak their mind all the time, people will take it, twist it, especially in the media, man. I can't imagine being a quarterback in Philadelphia or in the NFL period, and you legit gotta watch what you say, because if Jalen Hurts started popping off or just saying whatever he wanted to say whenever he wanted to say it, y'all be calling him unprofessional and everything else. So let him stick with his quotes, his motivational speeches. I'm here for it. Go Jalen. Woo! And then, okay, now is last but not least, Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. He pretty much was he talked about he ignoring the reports and all that other stuff with him and Jalen. Him and Jalen are good. That's what he said. He said him and Jalen are good. You know, and they are reviewing their previous season, things that need to be changed, things that need to be tweaked. They're evaluating those things and they're coming back to get better. Now, a few other things he kind of talked about was like, you know, I'm not always in the room with all the players all the time, but you know, he comes in here and there when he can and when he does, which honestly, people were pissed about that last year, thinking that he needed to step up and step in and be this person and he should be calling the plays and yada, yada, yada. But if we're being honest, like, let him stick to his role. Back to what Jalen was saying. If everybody understand their roles and stick with it, this team is great. The problem can arise is if, you know, Nick try to get too involved in everything. Nick, from this presser, seems to understand where his place is. And he's like, you know, I chip in here, I chip in there, I give my opinions here. I'm not always in my QB room. I'm not always in the wide receiver room, but I know when to contribute and how to work with the other coaches and the team. And I think if people can do that, you know what you're good at, and you know your strong suits. I think that's the best place for any coach, any player, anybody. And you know, big ups to Nick Sirianni, and I'm hoping that he has a outstanding season along with all the players as well. So let's get into that. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Howie Roseman. So Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni did their press conference together. And Howie Roseman kind of talked about and mentioned, he was like, you know, Nick is responsible for the coaching staff because they asked him about the changes in coaching staff last season. Like they didn't do this at the end of last season. Like they took a few days, then they came and they talked to the press about the changes in defensive coordinators, and they talked about all it. They talked about it at the end of last season, but you know they kind of touched on it again, and Howie mentioned, you know, he's responsible for the players and the draft picks. And together, they work together sometimes. And that's how it should be, right? He gave the example. Nick, you know, brought some info in on Quinyon because Coach Sirianni's ex-college roommate, you know, is the head coach at Toledo. And Nick brought in some thoughts about Quinyon for draft picks, which Howie made it seem like, you know, contributed a little bit to his thoughts on that. And then he also said Nick asked him, you know, his thoughts on coaching staff, if he has relationships with any of the coaches, if he has any opinions or thoughts on any other coaches that he should or shouldn't hire. And they kind of just said that's how they collaborate. I know that in the media, a lot of people were talking about Howie and Nick Sirianni doing their press conferences together. I think this is maybe the second or third one they did together. And I honestly have never looked at it from that perspective before. Like, why are they doing their press conferences together? Does Howie Roseman not trust Nick Sirianni? Yada, yada, yada. And I mean, if he didn't, what would the sharing a press conference, like what about that? What about that helps anything? Like, I don't know. I can't think of how that benefits either of them. by Howie sitting in on Nick Sirianni's press conferences. I don't think that'll happen all season. If it starts to happen like after games when they're asking Coach Sirianni some questions about the games and like his thoughts and what were the thoughts that went behind certain things, that might get a little weird. And I'll say something about that. But until then, it's like, nah, I want to hear from both of them because this is the first day of training camp. This is the first presser of the season, for real, like of training camp. Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with training camp? I need to hear something from Howie because, like, last season, I attacked both of them, and I'm sure the rest of Philadelphia did as well. We talked so much crap. We blamed Howie for the defense. We blamed Howie for all the players that we lost and the reason we were struggling so much on defense. We blamed Nick for all the confusion on the sidelines, the half-assedness of the team, all that other stuff. I said it, and I'm sure a lot of y'all said it too, okay? So, yes, I need both of them to address the media, address the public, because I need to hear what both of y'all got to say. Come, I need to scoop. I feel like sports media not really getting a scoop anymore. So whenever I can see a presser, whenever I could get to talk to, get some point of view from Howie or any of them, I'm all for it. But let's talk a little bit about open practice, y'all. So a couple of random things from open practice. So Landon Dickerson did not practice due to a knee injury. So Lane Johnson came out wearing his jersey. Honestly, I don't know, that something about that whole jersey situation at open practice rubbed me the wrong way, and I was a little pissed. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. So, not that Lane was wearing Landon Dickerson's jersey, like, okay, whatever. That didn't piss me off. Everybody had their jerseys like rolled up to the side, cocked this way, that way. And it's like, yo, a lot of y'all are new players on the team, rookies. Like, I don't know y'all. I need to see a number, honey. Let me see a number. But you don't want me to see a number because if you start stanking it up, you start stanking it up out there. You don't want me to know it was you stanking it up. But I got eyes, and I was looking. At least I was doing my darnest because some of the players, I'm like, yo, bro, roll down your jersey. Avonte Maddox's jersey was up the whole time. I know it was hot. My ass was sweating on the chair. I know it was hot. But like, it was just like, come on, y'all. I need a number because I don't know some of y'all. I don't know some of y'all yet, okay? But anyway, it was really cool to be there. The fans always show up and show out, and they donated all of that money to a good cause. So the Eagles Autism Autism Foundation. So I think it's a really good cause, and that was amazing. The city definitely turned up for Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae, Goddard, and Saquon. They turned up for Saquon. I feel like Saquon usually gets booed in Lincoln Financial Field, but this season Saquon got cheers at Lincoln Financial Field. And then Cooper DeJean, he got cheers, but he's still sitting out due to a hamstring injury, so he was just on the sidelines. And James Bradbury, they called him out, and Bradbury got booed, and I hated it. I hated it. Like, I did not boo that man. Why boo him, y'all? Why boo him? Argue with me. Let's argue. Why boo him? Yes, he struggled last season. Yes, he had a really bad season. Yes. But like, the whole team had a really bad season last year. Like, let's be real about what was going on with the coaches last year. Bradbury was all over the place. 1 minute he's playing corner, then he's nickel, then he's here, he's there, he's being rotated out with the younger guys. It was a lot going on, like, where someone wouldn't get comfortable. He's a vet, and you kind of expect him to just fall in line a lot of times. But like, let's be real. People are good at what they're good at, and that is for a reason. Like, keep me where I'm good and where I'm going to flourish, where I'm going to shine, and I'm going to be the strongest player. But if you got me in and out, up and down, left and right, like, that could be a little confusing. and you don't exactly get the chance to be comfortable. So I didn't really like the booing. I like Bradbury, and I wish him all this success. And I think he's just honestly this offseason, he's been very professional. Philly, y'all been ripping that man apart. But in his press conference, he pretty much was just like, I'm taking it day by day. I'm trying to find my role, and I'm here to step up and take things on and be the best player that I can be that for this team. And that's all you could do is appreciate it. I mean, last season, a lot of them stunk it up. Like, let's be real. All of them stunk it up. The linebackers, the corners, Reed, Sidney Brown. It was a stanky ass defense. I keep cursing, y'all. I ain't say bad curse words, but I think I said ass a couple of times. But my bad. Anyway, it was just a stinky season. But let's get into a little bit of the playing. So, they do like these little games during the open practice. So, like, they be playing games. They be playing games. They be playing games. I don't know why I sing things, y'all. Just get used to that. But they was playing. It was tough to see, the players, like I said, but I watched Jeff Stoutland and Connor Barwin. I met Connor Barwin one time too. I was sitting at the bar watching the Phillies in a World Series. We lost. We lost the World Series. What was that? 2022, I think it was. And we was watching the World Series at a bar in Northern Liberties, Fishtown. It was Fishtown. Chilling at the bar, and I was sitting next to Connor Barwin. I said, yo, that's Connor Barwin. And my boyfriend was like, no, that's not Connor Barwin. He was like, why you gotta just go on the Apple Watch? I said, why can't that man wear Apple Watch? But we was high-fiving and stuff at the bar. So shout out to Connor Barwin, still with the Eagles, still doing his thing, still in the city, pop off. Anyway, he was there. He was working with Jeff Stoutland, working with the offensive and defensive linemen, doing a lot of warming up and like pregame drills is what they did at open practice. It definitely was more of a show, I feel like, than an actual practice for them. But to whatever, this is what we gonna get, okay? Jalen and AJ Brown still got the chemistry, still was on point, making connections. AJ made a touchdown during the scrimmage, like the scrimmage game or the practice that they had going on. He made connections with Devontae Smith, and Jalen made connections with Saquon. It was good. And Dallas Goedert, him and Dallas Goedert look really good together. Dallas Goedert was like on fire. The chemistry between Goddard, Jalen, and AJ Brown is amazing. And if they could keep that and everybody stay on the same page, those three. I mean, don't forget Devontae, but like I'm specifically just going to talk about those three right now, like because Devontae is outstanding. But those three, when they're on point, like we can win games. I watched a few plays from Jalen and Saquon, and I'll be honest, Saquon, he gained a few yards on a couple plays. I didn't necessarily. I'll be honest, I didn't see a ton of things that like looked so explosive and amazing, but he looked good. Like he looked good. He gained a few yards. The ref blew the play dead a couple times, so I'm not sure where that would have gone if it was like real life or whatever. But, he looked good. He looked like Saquon, which is good enough and it's solid. He looks just how, and I guess that's because you hold him to such a high standard because he is Saquon Barkley. And he looked just like Saquon Barkley. Like he looked like a great running back. I mean, but it wasn't anything that I remember about any of those plays that I was like, oh my God, Saquon, he got 15 yards rushing and blah, blah, blah. I don't remember anything like that. A lot of plays also got killed by the refs during open practice. Jalen looked very comfortable in the pocket with his progressions. You know, it really looked like the 2022 version of Jalen Hurts. A very, very vast difference from last year with his comfortability being in the pocket and just like staying in there, and then and his progressions, like looking down the field and just running in it, like not being afraid of the people on either side of him or like the defenders closing in on him. He looked so comfortable. So that was really exciting to see. One of his progressions was a little rough, but you can't be perfect all the time. I think he was looking for AJ, and AJ unfortunately never got open. I think he was being covered by, I want to say it was Devontae Maddox, but I honestly don't remember. But AJ never got open, so that one blew dead. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the twos. So Kenny Pickett was he's with the Eagles now. He was a previous quarterback from the Steelers. And, I got tons of thoughts about that. But, we're going to keep it on practice. I got tons of thoughts about Kenny Pickett being here. A lot of thoughts. But let's stick to practice. So Kenny Pickett to Grant Calcaterra with a screen pass, looked really good. He threw a few passes that was too high and almost threw an interception from what it looked like to me. But overall, he performed just like I would expect him to perform. He looked like he did in Pittsburgh. He looks like a solid 2 behind Jalen. He does. Kenny had he made some really good connections to Johnny Wilson, who's another wide receiver on the Eagles now. And Wilson looked really good. He gained like 8 to 10 yards. Like their chemistry looked really good. Kenny's, Grant Calcaterra, who was a tight end, and then Johnny Wilson. Like they made some plays that I really liked. Him and Kenny Gainwell also seem to have really good chemistry. Gainwell gained a few yards and scored a touchdown as well with Kenny Pickett. So like they looked good. Like they were on fire. Kenny and Gainwell too. I will say also Avonte Maddox was covering Grant Calcaterra during one of the plays. Ran, and Maddox was really good. Yeah, he had some serious coverage. Maddox was knocking them twos around, okay? Like when he was on the field for, I don't know why Maddox was on there with the twos or whatever, have you, but I think he was for like a play or so. And when he healthy, he is a beast, okay? Like Avonte Maddox is a beast when he's healthy. I'm just nervous and I hate to get my hopes up because I feel like I always get let down, but it's something about him being healthy, and I'm sure he feels this way. He got a few reps with the twos. I'm sure he feels this way, but he just doesn't stay healthy. And it's unfortunate. Mekhi Gardner, he left the field hobbling on his knees, so I hope he's okay. I'm not even sure if he returned because I keep trying to tell y'all they had their jerseys up, so I had to look around. Look around. I had to look around. Just try. Like it was so hard to see who was who. And then Will Grier, he's like probably gonna be third string QB, or him and Tanner McKee are probably fighting for the third spot, but he overthrew some passes, I think about twice. But we'll see who gets that third string spot. Him, Tanner McKee. Do they keep all four? I don't know. I don't think they're gonna keep all four. But we'll see how it goes. Overall, though, open practice, like I said, it's a show. Like I don't feel like that is how they really practice. If so, they need to practice harder. Do that sound bad? I don't want anybody getting hurt, but something about practice was just a little dry. Like it wasn't giving what it needed to give. Granted, everyone looked good. Like the people you wanted to see looked good. So they put on that show. But I'm not 100% confident in their play against other teams, like when it's really go time. But also, it just seems like they didn't play a lot of the starters too much. They did, like AJ, Jalen, obviously, they were out there, Devontae. But I feel like a few of them didn't practice too much or weren't heavy participants in the game. And we also didn't get to see a few people that we probably would want to see, like Landon Dickerson or Cooper DeJean. Like, you didn't get to see them as much as you probably would have liked, just because they're sitting out due to injury. But whatever. I also got distracted a few times, if I'm being honest, during the practice. Um, but when the host wasn't narrating like the plays, it was just hard to make out what was happening at times. Next time the Eagles just need to invite me on the field so I could get in there, in there, in there. And I could let them, I could give a real review, a glowing review, actually. But yeah, it was a great time. It was very, very hot. I met up with my girl Talia there, her and her baby Caleb. But yeah, met up with them there. Malk, and they all was there. All of them was there. But it was a good time, honestly. And I always get to enjoy watching open practice, seeing the Eagles ahead of the season. But I'm interested. Let's stay tuned, see what happens during preseason. I'm excited about the upcoming games, and maybe on the next podcast we could talk a little bit about preseason, give that review, see how things went, how they looking. They don't typically play the starters during preseason, but it's a good way to get a feel of, some of the other guys that'll be like filling in, chipping in, whatever. And we can also review my predictions for this season. So all the wins and losses, see if I still feel the same way as when the schedule dropped a couple months ago. I can't wait. Keep listening, keep tuning in. I'll be here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Fourth and Wine with your girl Sasha. Until next time, guys. Peace.